Lawrence O'Donnell went off on a lengthy rant about the amicus brief or however you say it. Somebody I'm sure will call and fill me in here. Somebody who's a lawyer, I'm not. It's a friend of the court brief, Amici Curiae. And it is by a group of history professors, serious, hardcore, heavy-duty, award-winning, published, well-known, famous history professors who went back and looked at the history of the 14th Amendment, under which we're trying to keep Donald Trump from serving as president or from running for president. And this is just from the summary of the argument. During the congressional debates, Senator Reverdy Johnson of Maryland, a Democratic opponent of the 14th Amendment, challenged sponsors as to why Section 3 omitted the president. Republican Senator Lot Morrill of Maine, an influential backer of congressional reconstruction of the 14th Amendment, corrected the senator. Morrill replied, quote, "Let me call the senator's attention to the words, or hold any civil office civil or military under the United States." Senator Johnson admitted his error. No other senator questioned whether Section 3 covered the president. So this is one of Trump's arguments before the Supreme Court is, that doesn't cover me. I'm not, yes, I took an oath, but it's not that oath. They go on. Similarly, debates over the Amnesty Act of 1872 demonstrate that decision makers understood that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment barred former Confederate President Jefferson Davis from running for president of the United States, a disqualification that amnesty would remove. Republican Senator James Flanagan of Texas warned that, quote, "Jefferson Davis is living, and if the disabilities of Jefferson Davis are removed, the Democrats in finding candidates for the presidency and vice presidency would go no farther than Jefferson Davis." So Jefferson Davis was that generation's Donald Trump, essentially. And they were all very clear that the 14th Amendment meant Jefferson Davis, the guy who led the Confederacy, can't run for president. They go on, Republican Senator Peter Van Wickle of West Virginia. "This has got to go into our Constitution and to stand to govern future insurrections as well as the present." Jefferson Davis argued that he was already punished through his automatic disqualification to hold public office under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which he said, quote, "executes itself. It needs no legislation on the part of Congress to give it effect." The Republican Representative John Bingham of Ohio, he was the co-author, the principal co-author of the 14th Amendment. He said, "Did not the gentleman know that it is written in the Constitution that the president, the vice president, and every other civil officer of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of high crimes and misdemeanors?" In other words, he is an officer. The president is an officer of the United States. So basically, they disintegrate. They take apart Donald Trump's arguments before the Supreme Court. I think this is going to get real interesting. Finally, what's going on with the anti-abortion freaks out there? This is news that I got from Jessica Valenti's newsletter, jessica.substack.com. Jessica's been a guest on this program. She publishes a newsletter called Abortion Every Day. And she says, "Last week I broke news on a new legislative trend. Republicans in multiple states have introduced bills that would force public schools to show young students an anti-abortion propaganda video produced by the extremist group Live Action." She says, "I report on legislation in West Virginia, Kentucky, Iowa, and a law that passed in North Dakota last year. It looks like I missed one. Missouri Republicans are also seeking to force public schools to show the baby Olivia video from Live Action. And like Kentucky's legislation, the bill in Missouri would punish schools that don't want to indoctrinate their students with a video made by one of the most radical anti-abortion groups in the country. House Bill 1576 would allow the state attorney general to sue states that don't adhere to the law. The Missouri legislation would also require the so-called human development video to be shown no later than grade 3. Meanwhile, the Des Moines Register reports that the Iowa bill would require first graders to be shown the video. So let me get this straight. These are the same Republicans who are completely opposed to sex ed of any sort, particularly for first and third graders. I mean, that was their whole hysteria, right? Down in Florida. Remember the original Don't Say Gay law was, only third graders and younger. Now it's, of course, everybody. But, we got to protect these young kids. But let's show them a video about abortion. Let's show them some babies being pulled into pieces or something like that. I mean, it's just, this is bizarre. And meanwhile, down in Florida, the Florida people, the pro-choice people down in Florida finally got enough signatures for their ballot measure. And in Florida, you have to have 60% of the vote to pass. This is polling at 62%. So Republicans are trying to change the law so that it requires 67% in order to pass a ballot measure in Florida. Where have we seen this before? Oh yeah, Ohio. Didn't work out so well for those in Ohio, but they tried to do it by ballot measure. Down in Florida, they're just trying to do it through the legislature, which will probably work. Bizarre. There's no limit to what these guys will do.